everyone, and welcome to PropellerAds. Today we are on air, and our guest is Max, a media buyer, affiliate manager, and a real traffic expert. Today's topic is devoted to Chinese advertisers willing to scale globally and master European and Western markets. We will talk about hardships that are waiting for them and success strategies to follow, of course. Hi, Max.
Hi.
And here's my first question for you. What mindset shifts do Chinese advertisers need when moving from China-first marketing to global performance marketing? I mean, for example, they might have some expectations about the markets they're moving to. What do you think? What are those expectations? And another important thing, what are the common differences in approaches? Say, what works in China but fails abroad?
Yeah, that's a good question to start with. I think the biggest mindset change is moving from paying for traffic to paying for data. In China, many advertisers are used to what I call the big budget miracle. You put a lot of money in and you expect fast results. And to be fair, this often works on Chinese platforms, where the algorithms are very mature and user behavior are more predictable. But when you move to platforms like PropellerAds, it's a different situation. The traffic formats like push and pop are not the same as newsfeed ads, and user behavior changes a lot from country to country. Because of that, you really need time to test and learn. For example, with CPA Goal bidding, the systems need conversion data before it can optimize. In the first few days, you are not really buying results yet. You are giving the algorithm information. So if the first few days isn't profitable, that's completely normal. What matters is collecting enough data and then looking at performance. Another change in mindset is traffic diversification. Many Chinese teams rely mainly on Google and Meta, but those platforms are very competitive and strict. PropellerAds works well as a complement. The CPMs are lower, approvals are easier, and you can reach users that are harder to get through Google or Meta.
Thank you. So my next question is, what are the most common newcomer traps you see Chinese teams make when entering global markets, especially in such verticals as e-commerce, apps, and gaming? And maybe you can also name some quick fixes to keep in mind before you start.
Yeah, there's a few mistakes I see again and again. One very common issue is that teams treat translation as localization. They translate their Chinese creatives and launch them, but the message doesn't sound natural to local users. Chinese ads often use very strong sales language, and when that's translated directly, it can feel spammy or fake in Western markets. It's also not just about language. Humors, memes, and culture jokes don't always travel well. Something that works perfectly in China can be confusing or meaningless in other countries. Even when the translation is perfect, a campaign can still feel foreign. Most of the time, the problem isn't the language, it's what you choose to focus on first. In different GEOs, users care about different things. In some markets, users want to know if they can trust you. In others, they care more about the price or how easy the product is to use. If you lead with the wrong message, users lose interest very fast. Trust skills are also very important. Things like reviews, payment methods, and page layout need to feel familiar. If a landing page looks strange or unfamiliar, users may leave even if the offer is good. So to feel native, you often need to change the angle and how the offer is presented, not the product itself. The goal is to make users feel like this was made for me. Another thing I noticed is that culture differences are often ignored. Colors, holidays, and shopping seasons are different everywhere. In the West, events like Black Friday or Christmas are very important, while in Southeast Asia, local shipping festivals matter more. Trust signals are different too. Big sales numbers work well in China, but in the US or Europe, users care more about reviews and security badges. Creative style is another big one. Chinese ads are often very busy and promotional. That works domestically, but many Western users prefer cleaner designs and more lifestyle-focused visuals. In Southeast Asia, price matters more, so discounts needs to be very clear. The best approach is to test different creative styles and let the data guide you instead of making assumptions.
Whoa, talking about testing and different creative styles, as I understand and I can assume, the testing structure is probably universal for everyone. Like first you launch wide, then you learn, then you segment, then you scale the winners. Is this the case for Chinese advertisers? And maybe there are some key checkpoints you would add early?
Yeah, that testing framework makes sense. But there are a few things I always pay attention to when Chinese teams start using PropellerAds. Early on, it's important not to over-target, starting to narrow limits learning. Let the system explode and figure out where conversions come from, especially if you are using CPA Goal bidding. Creative testing also needs to be happen earlier. With push traffic, the title and icon are what really drive clicks. Small changes there can make a big difference, and the landing page has to match the message. If users feel a mismatch, they leave very quickly. I also like to check some basics early on. Page speed matters a lot. For global users, trust elements like reviews or security badges help with conversions. And of course, check-in has to be set up correctly, so conversion data flows back for optimizations. One more thing people often miss is attribution timing. PropellerAds traffic doesn't always convert immediately. Users might click today and convert a couple of days later. If you only look at same-day data, you are going to underestimate performance. A longer window gives a much clearer picture.
Very interesting, but I also want to come back to this question of values and different trust signals you mentioned before. I think it's a very interesting question. Maybe we can expand it a bit. So do you see different value triggers in users across different geos? I mean, some users want convenience, as you said, the others want low prices, social proof, safety, speed. And can you share one example of a value trigger that worked in one geo but didn't work in another one?
Yes, definitely. Value triggers changes a lot from one geo to another. In some markets, price is the strongest driver. Discounts, savings, and deals get a lot of attention. But in other markets, price-focused ads can actually hurt performance because users become suspicious and worry about quality or scams. For example, we have seen cases where strong discount messaging works very well in Southeast Asia, but the same messaging performs poorly in parts of Europe. In those markets, ads that focus more on safety, reliability, or ease of use tend to convert better. This is why testing is so important. You can't assume what users care about most. You need to test different messages and let the data show you which value trigger really works in each geo.
Thank you. So, if you could give Chinese advertisers and agencies some practical recommendation to win globally in 2026, what would they be?
If I had to give practical advice for 2026, especially for teams starting with PropellerAds, I would say don't rush into the most expensive markets. The US and UK are very competitive, and learning there is costly. It's usually better to start with markets where traffic is cheaper and you can test more freely. Countries like India, Indonesia, and Brazil offer large volume at lower cost, which is great for learning. Southeast Asian markets also work very well with push traffic. Once you understand one geo and get it working, it becomes much easier to scale into others. In terms of formats, push notifications are usually the best place to start. They are cheaper, easier to test, and give faster feedback. After that, expanding into pop-under makes sense. For bidding, CPA Goal is very helpful early on. because it lets the system optimize while you are still learning. And overall, the most important thing is mindset. PropellerAds isn't a set and forget platform. You need to test, analyze, and adjust. The upside is that testing here is much cheaper than Google or Meta, so you have room to experiment. Be patient, trust the data, get one campaign working, and then scale. Test, learn, optimize, repeat.
Yeah, we have one more guest, to
Yeah.
Sorry. So thank you, Max. That was very interesting. And thanks everyone for watching. See you at PropellerAds.